500 subscribers on YouTube. Almost there, about 15 more. Me and my brother are elated. Thank you for all the support. I want to give a big shout out to all the fellas yesterday at NYYU, our Yankee brothers, for giving us so much plugs yesterday. Appreciate you guys. Huge support from you guys. Thank you so much. Today, we have a very special guest along with a lot of regulars, man. I want to give a big shout out, though, to the New York Mets, man. What an honor it is today to be a Met fan. It's amazing. And my first, obviously, my partner in crime, baby, bro. We in the building. How are you? How you feeling right now, man?
I feel better than a lot of people living in the Bronx right now.
Oh,
I'll tell you that. I feel real good. I feel real spicy. I feel like I'm ready to tell somebody to kick rocks. I feel real good right now. I'm putting my test, you know what I'm saying? But it all means nothing because the season hasn't started yet. So I want to say that shouts out to Soto, shouts out to Boris. You see my man John Heyman, you know what I'm saying, getting the tag because you already know.
Yeah.
You know? And shouts out to the New York Mets, man. What a beautiful day it was. Watch the presser and to see all that came about from it, and to hear all of Soto's remarks about the team.
Yeah, man. Before we bring up our panel for the evening, some amazing gentlemen, I just want to let everybody know I'm very upset with Juan Soto. Me and Juan Soto right now are not good friends. I want you to know, and I want everybody, I'm going to get this out the way, and we'll start talking about baseball in a moment. Me and my brother are huge wrestling fans. Huge. Love wrestling. And I'm a regular listener to a certain podcast in the wrestling community. It's called Busted Open. Dave LaGreca, Bully Ray, Tommy Dreamer, Mark Henry. I listen to them every day. My brother catches them when he can. They had a huge show today in the city. Huge Christmas show. And I won tickets. For me and my brother to attend. They were going to do giveaways. Wrestlers were there. Drew fucking McIntyre's there. One of my favorite wrestlers. And because of Juan Soto, somebody didn't check their email. So we would be right now hanging out with Drew McIntyre, but we're here with you. So guys, the dedication is real, man. Dedication is absolutely real. Drew McIntyre and another day, man. Very frustrated. Let me get my first. I was gonna give him the red carpet and save him for last, but let's get our main guest today, man. Listen, this gentleman is one of the most hardest working guys in doing the content thing. Big baseball head. He is the barometer between Met fans and Yankee fans. A lane that is picked by very few, very few. Also a huge wrestling fan. Very smart young man. A big Yankee fan. So this is going to be centered around you today, my friend. Ladies and gentlemen, the originator, the CEO of Empire State of Baseball, my man Rich Rivera. What's going on, bro?
Hell of an intro there. Hell of an intro. You can see my cheeks are rosy red, but thank you so much for having me on. It's been a long time coming to make my debut here on Shea and Sons. And you guys, you called me the barometer. You guys are top tier when it comes to New York Mets content. And I've been getting a lot of slack for tears lately on Empire State of Baseball, and Keith knows what I'm talking about. But Keith, I am mad at you. You could have hung out with the chosen one, and you chose Juan today.
I chose Juan Soto instead of Drew McIntyre. I'm furious at myself. I'm so mad. I would have canceled the show. This shit would have never happened. I know. I'm like really mad. I don't know how I'm going to do the show today. I'm just furious. But thank you. Thank you again. Listen, ladies and gentlemen, every Monday, please check these brothers out. I plugged in the description the Empire State of Baseball Twitter, YouTube, their show every Monday. They also follow up with a Twitter space, so you get double the action every Monday. Give these fellas mad love, mad support. Appreciate you, bro, for pulling up. Thank you again.
I'll just hold you for a quick second. We're currently not every Monday. We're every 3 Mondays right now, just because it's off season. Not a lot of stuff. Well, there's a lot of stuff going on lately, but not a lot of stuff going on for us. So we're every 3 weeks. But yes, appreciate it. Thank you guys.
Yeah, man. Anytime, man. Appreciate you. Let me get up to the building, my man. But actually, you know what? Let me get some Platano power in here because it is a Platano day. The Platano familia is having a good day today. So I want one of the big rally cries for Juan Soto is this gentleman right here, man. The Pope is in the building. How are you, sir?
What up? What up? What up, man? What up?
How you feeling, Pope? How you feeling?
You know what? I feel exhausted. I'm like so happy, but at the same time exhausted.
And like a little tired.
It's just a special day, man. Like this is like an impactful day for Met fans, and it feels like we're kind of like turning the waves and the curve. We're just like trying to like get out of that stink of not being one of those teams. Now we ain't little brother no more, man. You know what I'm saying? We're here now. You teams, get your money up, man. Yankees, get your money up. Sorry, Rich. Love you, man, but
I was having a good day.
We'll be fine.
Hopefully, you guys can cheer me up, man. Let's follow this Platano power up with one of the biggest Juan Soto fans on X, man. This guy, he's not done. He wants more Dominicans if he can, at all costs. Ladies and gentlemen, let's bring a Master Flip to the building. What's going on, brother? How are you?
I'm doing well, my brother. Just get all the Dominicans on board, bro.
I wasn't lying to you guys. Appreciate you for pulling up, man. Thank you again. Let's get my man, the accountant, in the building. How are you,
what's good,
up,
guys? What is going on? Yo, shout out to Rich Rivera, also known as the Yankee Pope, in these Met spaces, bro. What is going on, everybody?
Thank you for joining us tonight, man. Appreciate you, man. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I got my man Top Bunk in the building. What's up, brother?
Yo, what up? Damn, you passed on Drew McIntyre. That's a head scratcher right there.
I didn't mean to. I wasn't my goal wasn't to do such. You know what I'm saying? And thank you for reminding me of such. You know what I'm saying? But it's killing me inside.
I feel you. How y'all doing, man?
I'm good, man. We're so packed today that I also have one more guest I'm gonna bring to the stage. He deserves like a new name. You know what I'm saying? Because he been kind of breaking news lately. Without like, I don't know how he's doing it. You know what I'm saying? I really can't figure this shit out for myself. I'm gonna give him his own little square because we packed today, ladies and gentlemen. So, ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, the real Deportes, my man Edge Deportes. What's going on, brother?
Yo, Rich, I got a problem with you with this Kumbaya Yankee stuff, man. So we will have a conversation, an uncomfortable one. But
get over it, Deportes.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, before we begin, if you haven't checked out the ESB tiers of reporters, it has been a huge topic of discussion on their page. It's actually changing. It's flowing. And I actually do like that it's kind of like evolving and changing as the time kind of goes. So shout out to Rich for that. What made you come up with that?
You know, it's funny. We were just hanging out on a Twitter space. I think it was a shout out to our good friend Lauren. Had one of those late night spaces. They get a little crazy on Twitter, but we were getting into some of the bad reporting, and specifically, I think this was with Mixed Report. And I was like, again, how are we trusting these no-name reporters that we're hearing now? Why are we not trusting the top-tier guys like Passan and Heyman and Sherman? So I was like, wait a minute. You know what I can do? I can provide a service for Empire State of Baseball. I can list out the top-tier reporters. Now, it blew up the first night we did it. We got blocked by John Heyman, so it is what it is. My guy was not happy about the list. We got a follow back from a tier 5, Hector Gomez. Shout out to Hector Gomez. I don't know why he followed us back. We put him tier 5. But it is what it is. So this is what we're doing every Tuesday.
Oh, boy. Me and Hector Gomez have some history. It's funny you say that. Oh, man. All right, look, gentlemen, today was a big day for the Mets organization. The Mets land Juan Soto officially. Physical pass, contract done, everything signed. He crosses town. He crosses, boroughs from the Bronx to Queens. Richard, we're going to start with you, and then we're going to get into everybody's thoughts. Just as from the Yankees' point of view, there's been a lot of opinions. Just how have you taken the news where it's actually come to light? Like, as a Yankee fan, how do you feel?
Well, I know a lot of folks here in our chat and a few of you guys here on the panel probably know where I come from. I'm in minority. How I felt about the whole thing. I was actually not the one banging the drum for Juan Soto to return to the Yankees. I just look at the limited amount of tax space they had, and the amount of issues they had with three positions in the field that unfortunately Juan Soto does not fit comfortably. There's also the addressing of a possible back end rotation guy. They filled it at the front end with Max Fried, the bullpen, the lack of a leadoff hitter, losing Gleyber Torres to free agency. So to me, it just wasn't a smart money play to try to throw that all at Juan Soto. I commend Hal for giving it the best effort at the end. 760, 16 years was a territory I did not think he would go to. And yet he was there, but you guys won the Soto bidding. And honestly, I was pretty happy about it because now the Yankees can have what I think is the more fun offseason and try to fill out all these vacancies with different players.
Real quick though, what's the first move that you are looking for post this? I guess today, like in your opinion as a Yankee fan.
Cody Bellinger. I think Cody Bellinger fulfills one of the two needs the Yankees has, whether it's going to be first base or one of the two outfield spots, depending on how the Yankees want to put Jason Dominguez either in center and left field. I feel more comfortable with Dominguez playing center field, which is where he's played for the majority of his minor league career. So Cody Bellinger, I like the idea of getting that type of player, left-handed bat made for Yankee Stadium. Now, it's a rarity that the four guys of Empire State of Baseball, which are 50% Met, 50% Yankee fans, which makes Ed Deportes very happy that we do a show like that. We all were in agreement that Bellinger is the perfect fit for the New York Yankees. So I hope they're able to get a trade going with them. I know there's the Kyle Tucker business with the Astros as well. So it's going to be interesting to see how that all plays out. But I think Cody Bellinger is my next go-to move for this team.
All right. Wish you all the best, man. Now, seems like the Subway Series is probably going to be the biggest game in baseball this upcoming summer. So I hope that both teams kind of round out the rosters very well and we can have those conversations when they come. Let me start with the Pope, man. Brother, man, I know it's been a long road for you. I know you have many monikers. You got the Pope, you got Monopoly Rube, you've gotten your fair share of shit too. You know what I'm saying? So I feel for you, brother. I'm gonna ask everybody different questions today because this is more of trying to gauge where everyone's at. I want to ask you, truly, in your opinion, as a Met fan, does this feel like a turning of the page?
It really does. Like, it legit does. Like, this was like more than just a player. The symbol of us, and we talked about this for almost 2 years now, getting the guy, not just the guy, not just the pitcher, getting the guy, getting the positional player, and getting the guy, the best free agent, probably like the second or third best free agent ever. You know, that's debatable. You could talk about Tani last year. You know, Juan Soto was that guy. I'm not sure if there's going to be someone close to him. I mean, we got to argue who's a better player. You know, the Kyle Tuckers of the world. But for the Mets franchise, for the Mets fan base, for pessimistic Met fans like myself, you know this. We had these conversations. Are we ever going to do this? Are we ever going to get that guy? Do we have to trade for him and show him the Mets culture so we could do an extension? That's what it seemed like it was going to. And you know, you use a lot of assets trying to get guys like that, trying to get that caliber player. That could have been a Tucker, but the fact that like the last 12 months for the Mets and for New York baseball has been so interesting, it's not even funny. 2023, huge disappointment. Of course, that's the year that I get the season tickets, right? So 2023 for both clubs, huge disappointment, right? The Mets had a little different path last year in getting to the playoff team that they were. But a lot of that was for Met fans' frustration, right? Not the Yankees, though. The Yankees got their guy. They traded for Juan Soto. And as soon as he got traded there, I said, done. Juan Soto's going to stay and be a Yankee. So, you know, again, the pessimistic side of me came back, you know what I'm saying? And for us to get him, to grab him, to like wherever, to steal him from the crosstown rivals, however you want to say it, but more than just that, it just you saw all the positive media that we're getting and everyone like giving us praise for, you know, not giving a shit and doing what we're supposed to do. You know, it felt like that was never going to come. You know what I'm saying? It felt like a guy like an MVP candidate like Lindor, our sweetheart, our captain, is never going to get the help that he needed. even with bringing back P. This is different. This feels different. You know, you heard him in a press conference. Did you know that we were going to get more bats? I didn't know that. So like, it's stuff like that. Like that comes with it. You know what I'm saying? This is the why we need a dog like that. I mean, we all know how good Juan Soto is, right? You don't have to say. I mean, World Series was rookie year. You know, top 3 in MVP 3 times. You know, he's to me like the left-handed like God when it comes to hitting. You know what I'm saying? You know, name your left-handed power bat, and he's that guy. Or he's top 3. So for us, it's just a turning of the page. You know what I'm saying? And it feels real good. And as you can see, me exhausting too because we're not used to wins like this.
No,
I think this is the beginning of a lot of good things to come.
All right, good. I'm going to go in order. The way I'm going to do this, I want to talk to my brother and Top. They're relatively similar in age. After that, I want to get to Master Flip, and then I have a question for Edge and the accountant and Rich all together on the Yankees front. So I'm going to get to Key and Dave from Top Bunk Sports. You guys are a lot younger than most of the people here. You guys haven't seen probably as much as others. We've seen some real stupid shit and whatnot. As a Met fan, it might feel a little bit different for us. It's more of a like, all right, like finally. But for you guys, I think it's a little bit more that LOL Met shit is a lot more newer with you guys. So I'll start with Top Bunk. Generally, do you feel that this can truly change the narrative of LOL Mets, in your opinion?
I think the narrative is kind of changing within itself, and I think it started with the ownership and bringing David Stearns in. You've seen the moves that he's made, that they've made as a unit, how aggressive they've been, and I think the Juan Soto move just put the cherry on top. We've been asking our previous owners for years that I've been a Met fan, and obviously the conversations have been similar to what you guys have said with the Wilpons in terms of spending and making aggressive moves to trying to get us over the top and get us a chip. And they weren't doing that. And then you saw Steve Cohen kind of take the wheel and kind of change that and be like, yo, I want to put this organization in its spot to go ahead and compete year after year. And that's what they're doing. And it starts with a superstar signing like Juan Soto. This was it felt a little bit more good since he's been here the past 4 years, because this is one that he wasn't going to let go. Now, obviously, the reports came out today that he said, he was shocked, but it felt like that this is the one he wanted. This is the one that he needed to have. And, it felt good to be in that position where the owner got something that he really, really wanted, the big fish, and he got it. Like, there was a feeling while he was putting that jersey today that it was like, yo, it feels good. Like, it feels amazing to actually get somebody that's big as he is right now, to get him, to be aggressive on him and get him. So I think just him being here and what he's been able to do with David Stearns, it's been changed. Obviously, with more stuff coming down the future, it can continue to change and it can continue to build. But I think just what they've been able to do in terms of culture change, in terms of players that they've been getting here, and just bringing everybody around and just changing the narrative that, the Mets aren't aggressive, the Mets don't spend, being able to change all of that, I think kind of put LOL Mets to rest. And they can continue to do that. That will never stop. So yeah.
Interesting. Okay. All right, baby bro. Like, you've had more of you're more in the era of like slander and trolling and this LOL Met shit. you kind of a lot more receptive of giving it back. But when you step into the realm with like this sort of move, like, how do you feel that that narrates the franchise moving forward? Does it like anything we do now, the microscope is going to be heightened tenfold, in your opinion? So like, how do we kind of move on from that page and kind of keep going in that direction? Feel me?
The easiest answer is test. That's the easiest answer. That's what's gonna make the LOL Mets shit die completely. You know what I'm saying? It's still out there. People are looking at Juan Soto's gut right now, identifying if he's overweight going into to spring training, bro. Like, people are waiting for us for this to be another Bobby Bonilla. Like, it's not gonna end until a championship is in Queens. Like, I truly believe that. Just because of the track record that we had with this franchise. But for Juan Soto to make this move over here, to make a exclamation point to the offseason and to go from, you know, the Yankees, a historic franchise with so much legacy and you know, tradition, to a team that, let's be honest, the exact opposite. You know what I'm saying? Like, and we're looking for them. We're looking to build that. And I think that this type of move solidifies that, and it stamps the flag that this is a new era of Mets baseball. You know, and I truly, I felt like that with Lindor, but also I was looking around at the team and I didn't really feel like we had a playoff team. But now, coming off of last season, I really feel like last season was the catalyst for this. I don't think that if Pete strikes out on that 3-2 count, it's very likely we don't see Juan Soto as a New York Met.
Oh, and wow. Good
point. That's just me personally. And I think, I know that money talks, but, you know, a year that we had last year with so much, I guess, entertainment, but like so much bravado and fun to the game of baseball, I think that also plays a part. So we got to continue to build this culture, but I would say that Juan Soto joining the Mets definitely does give us that leverage to continue to, you know, go to where we want to, which is obviously win championships and et cetera, et cetera.
It's nice hearing the younger group talk like that, because there's a lot of people in the fan base that kind of act immature in every fan base. But to me, it's more really for y'all. That 15-year deal is really, truly, it's really for y'all. I mean, at the end of the day, y'all gonna be able to kind of soak it a little bit differently than us. I mean,
I'm gonna be at the stadium with you, with possibly your child or my child, being like, "Damn, we still paying this motherfucker." That's what I'm doing.
By then,
you know what? I'm doing with a smile on my motherfucking face. I'm gonna do it.
We might have different conversations then, but who knows? You never know. I mean, that's actually really funny to think about. Yeah. All right, so being that you're talking about like shedding these images and all that, and it means a lot for you guys that are in a different age bracket. I want to talk to, you know, and we have a quite diverse group here. There's 2 Puerto Ricans, well, 2.5 Puerto Ricans. We got 3 Dominicans, we got a Cuban, and we have a beautiful Italian man. So I just want to point out that this is as like melting pot as it gets. Okay, the point remains. Yeah, this is literally like getting on the train in New York City. So I want to talk to probably the most Dominican guy I've ever met in my life, because you can get the best Dominican in the world, it's still not enough. So Master Flip, you know what? My question to you, and before we get to the activity that I have to kick off with Edge, Rich, and the accountant, as a Dominican man, please tell me how proud you are. Also,
one thing.
Real quick, by the way, the man has a hookah going on at the current moment. Just
you know what I'm saying?
Celebration,
so,
baby.
As a Dominican man, listen, Dominican people, we're very proud. And I'm gonna just let you know how proud we are. They threw a parade for J-Rod for him winning the Rookie of the Year.
Wow, I didn't even know that. Holy shit!
Back in DR. So any individual accomplishment, they recognize it back in DR. So the fact that we have a Dominican superstar, I know what that's gonna mean to these ball players coming up in the DR, and how they're gonna, let's face it, maybe favor the Mets when it comes to maybe making a decision as to, you know, where do you want to sign. So as far as the Dominican fan base, I hope that it shapes that Dominican fan base and pushes them over to this side.
So being that you're going to have probably the current best Dominican baseball player to some, and the best Puerto Rican player to some, on the team that you love and watch, does that overshadow the fact that could mean? No, actually, no, it doesn't overshadow. Does that mean more to you than just putting out the best team possible? You know what I'm saying? Does that add a little extra for you?
I think it does, because, you know, New York is Dominican and Boricua. You know what I'm saying? And there's a large representation of Dominicans and Puerto Ricans here. And so, you know, we saw it with the Bad Bunnies and the celebrities coming over, showing love to the Mets. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, we saw that with the Puerto Rican fan base. You know, let's see it with the Dominican. And, you know, we come together. It's going to be special.
To a degree, I absolutely agree. All right. So, gentlemen, we are going to start off with a nice little activity. I got my man Edge here, I got the account, and I have the guest of honor, Rich Rivera. When me and my brother thought about this show, Uncomfortable Conversations, we thought about kind of touching the nerve. That's the point of this. It's not to get anyone upset, it's to touch the nerve, right? I want Edge to play the role of Steve Cohen. I want the accountant to play the role of Rob Manfred. And I want Rich Rivera to play the role of Hal Steinbrenner. And I want you guys to activate with no restrictions. And if this was to happen again, how would you guys go about and how would you regulate it, accountant? Because some people feel like this money is ridiculous. It's not fair to small market teams. This is an absolute horrible deal. But yet these two gentlemen are like, no, this guy means this much to me. I'll go to the extent to make sure that that guy's on my team. I don't give a shit about the field. Does this impact baseball in a way where you feel like it could hurt the sport? Does it matter at all to you? At the end of the day, your point of view from your team, Hal, your point of view from your team, Steve, you know what I'm saying? How do you view it? I'm going to start with Rich as Hal Steinbrenner. No restrictions, clean slate, forget about roster. Why would you go the length to acquire one baseball player of this worth?
His impact on the community, his dollar figure that means for my franchise, Hal's franchise, not Rich's franchise.
Right.
I look at what's going to come in the next couple of years. There's going to be a collective bargaining agreement at the end of 2026. Things are going to get a little hairy, and I don't know what's going to be the future of the game. I don't know what's going to be the future of financial management for either of these teams. So before we even get to that time, I need to make sure that I can lock up one of the top. I would go out there and say top 2 to 3 hitters in all of baseball. And because he's going to be coming to my team, he is going to be one of the top 2 hitters in all of baseball.
All right, Steve Cohen, do you agree on your front why acquiring one baseball player of this worth, of that magnitude, matters strictly to your team and only your team, forgetting about the field?
Of course, I was put on restrictions once I became an owner.
Yeah, that's right, Steve. That's correct.
I've been, chastised by other owners, maligned, by other owners, with job searches for my organization, you name it. The one advantage I have is my money, so I'm going after the best players. So I did it last year with Yamamoto. I did it prior years with Lindor after the trade. And I'm doing it every year until further notice. So fuck the Steve Cohen tax. Oh, fuck the Cohen tax.
So now
every time.
I got my Rob Manfred here. Rob, you put a Steve Cohen tax into play because all the other owners felt a certain way that this guy was coming in. But this other owner that we have here has been pretty much operating however he's felt, for decades. And he's won championships, so it's hard to knock him, right? But you got to worry, you yourself have to worry about 30 MLB teams and a collective bargaining agreement coming up. Shout out to Rich for that. How do you view this as Rob Manfred right now, a team acquiring a player for almost $800 million?
To tell you the truth, the price is up there, right? None of us expected that.
Correct.
But I don't think this is a common occurrence, And as Fred Manfred, at the end of the day, these two teams are still operating within bounds, within rules. I think that the other 30 teams, the other 28 teams, need to worry less about what certain players are going for if they're out of reach, and worry about what they need to do with their organizations. There's a lot of teams that are making a lot of money out there that need to step up what they're spending and what they're doing. They need to go out there and put competitive teams together to try to lure players of this caliber to their team, regardless of how much they're going for. So to me, I mean, it's not an issue. I don't see this as a common occurrence. I don't think it's gonna be something like, the next free agency period. You're gonna see guys start going for a lot of money like this. Um, so I don't think it's an issue.
All right, fair enough. I hear so much about how this contract is going to age, and I just think that's just poppycock because it just went down. Personally, I want to ask the Pope now, in your humble opinion, as a Met fan, and then we'll get over to Rich and we'll ask the panel after. And I got a guest up here, my man Tom. What's going on, Papa? I want to ask the Pope, if you're a Met fan right now, and this was the offseason and it ended right now, on a scale of 1 to 10, how would you grade it? 10 being perfect,
Yeah.
being a failure.
Even with not getting any more impactful players, I still will give it a solid 8.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, because it's not just about this offseason. This move right here is going to change the next 10 years, if that makes sense, or at minimum the next 7 years. Adding this impact player next to your, hopefully captain just changes everything. If the Mets decided to somehow, pivot and just this is going to be the only move, then I won't feel like they're a truthful organization. I mean, they promise Soto certain things, right? They promise the fans certain things. It wouldn't make any sense, right? Even though I know this is an example, it wouldn't make any sense if you're already past the 240 not to keep going.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't want to go over 301 and not pay the tax, that I understand. It's not my money, at least 1 year, but it's just that this is such an impactful free agency signing that it automatically goes up to an 8. I mean, they can have an easy 9 if they get the right pitchers. The 10, those 2 or 3 moves we would have needed that we were hoping for. One of them already got traded to Boston, but this is a 8, and I'm not even gonna think about it. You know what I mean?
I saw Edge react. I'm gonna before I was gonna head over to Rich. Edge, go ahead, jump in and share your opinion on that question.
I think 8 with an incomplete off season is a little high. On the scale from 1 to 10, I would give it a good 6 for right now because there's still a lot of things that need to be done. I'm happy for Soto, but this doesn't win or this doesn't make you a championship team out the outright. So I hold this franchise and this front office to a high expectation. And this is just a move that needs to be done with continuously, or constant, if you want to say that. And I can't put a high 8 until I see the complete team. They're going in the right direction, but they still got a lot of holes in the lineup, the pitching staff. I can't give it no more than a 6.
So it's funny. The reason why I asked that is because as you were playing real quick, the Steve Cohen point of view, there's money that still needs to be spent.
Correct.
So we're looking at probably $1 billion offseason for the Mets. It's very likely that they're going to go north of $1 billion. My question to Rich, being that Rich kind of plays both fences, of Met fandom and Yankee fandom, you see the Mets do an offseason. Like, there was the offseason with Verlander, and then there was the offseason with Scherzer, and we had that 1 year when Scherzer, Marte, all that. But this is another level because we're still going to continue. And I'll get to everybody. I'll open up a roundtable right after this. Does an offseason like this for an organization that has somewhat had struggles in the past, going north of $1 billion, is this something from a different perspective that was needed, or is this something that more of a owner's greed, in your opinion? How would you gauge it from an outside point of view?
The way I see it, I see it more towards the former. At the end of the day, Steve Cohen is a fan, which is what I'll respect from the very beginning, despite like all the billions this guy has. I think when it comes down to, and if I had to give it a grade, by the way, I think it's a 7 out of 10 right now. Okay. I do think there are still areas of focus that the Mets need to worry about. But yeah, I think right now this is the sort of all season that brings even the most casual Met fan back. This is the sort of off season that you're going to hang on for an entire 162 to see what happens. I think what they're doing right now is special. and they're working within the right parameters of conducting business. So I have no complaint there. When it comes down to additional needs, and this is why I have it at a 7 out of 10, you still have to figure out what your situation is on the corners. I don't know if Mark Vientos is going to be a first baseman. I don't know if he's going to be a third baseman. I don't know if Pete's coming back. And then I think the biggest elephant in the room here, and I think I could say it by putting out 4 scores here that you guys know about: 9-0, 8-0, 10-2, 10-5. The Mets need to address their starting pitching. And I know you brought in Clay Holmes, you brought in Frankie Montas. Great. Who's leading this charge? And I think once you guys figure out who's that guy, along with who the corner infield is, I think that 7 can easily go up to a 9.
Yeah, heard him, the we. I like that. We. We're getting orange and blue soon.
All right, so
as an objective baseball fan,
objective, right? All right, so this is interesting. Now I'm gonna get to Tone, because Tone has a very interesting opinion, which I do like, because it's a different opinion. You kind of see the common theme here with almost each one of us. Money needed to be spent. Steve Cohen is a fan. It's gonna go north of $1 billion. It's within the means that a team can operate, right? There's no real, dirty play here. But will a all season going north of $1 billion with still additions to be made be something looked at, something frowned upon if it doesn't work out in year one, or something that most teams need to follow suit if they do have the money? Because we always hear it. Teams need to spend. Owners stop being cheap. All that stuff. And now the Mets are actually in a discussion where they're going to have a similar offseason to one of the champions of Major League Baseball last year. So, Tone, in your opinion, and no opinion is wrong, is this something that the Mets needed to do, or is this something that the Mets are going to get looked at and frowned upon for doing from outside of the organization?
Specifically on the Soto thing, I don't think it's something they needed to do. Contrary to probably belief, I feel like there's always other ways to create a team, and spending $805 million on one guy, I get it, but I saw a lot of different options that could have happened. Will it get frowned upon? Look, at the end of the day, the Rangers spent $500 million on Seager and Semien. Didn't do shit that season, and it was frowned upon. Well, everybody laughed at them, say, "Wow, you spent $500 million on 2 guys. And look at that, you didn't even make the playoffs." When all the years of Dodgers before last year, all the money they spent, every time they didn't make the World Series, it was the common theme of, you spent all that money and look where you fall flat on your face. You know what I mean? So I think you're in a situation where damned if you do, damned if you don't. And this is why I feel like the CBA needs to introduce a cap above head, because these contracts, I know somebody mentioned that this might be a one-off, but the name of the game is to keep topping each other. And every sport you go to, you want to get 1 million more than the next guy. You know what I mean? So while Soto's 26 and, he has the offensive numbers that he has, who's to say guys aren't looking and says, well, I could get a similar AAV because my offensive numbers are similar, or maybe just a little bit less, but my defense is a lot better. You know what I mean? So I do think because at the end of the day, he got more money than a DH in Shohei Ohtani. Until Ohtani could show me he could pitch for more than a season, he's a DH in mine, and he got $700 million for that, along with the Japanese market. So it's a damn you do, damn you don't, because at the end of the day, you have to spend money to win. You have to spend money to compete. You have to spend money to stay afloat. It's one of the reasons why small market teams complain. It's another reason why we complained ever since Wilpons got caught up in the Madoff scheme. They stopped, and we watched a small market team in Queens, which weird enough, it was near the top with spending, but it didn't feel like that. So at the end of the day, I do, like I said, damn you do, damn if you don't. You got to win. You got to win. And when you spend $805 million on one guy, I know people want to say 765, but I'm just going 805 because
a lot. They spent a lot. It don't matter. They spent a lot.
You know what I mean? When you spend that on one guy, to me, year one becomes World Series or bust. So you have no choice but to spend whatever you need to spend to continue towards that. You know what I mean? Like, and I don't think you don't have the same way when the Dodgers got Shohei, there wasn't the grace period of well, they got, and I know they have a better overall constructed roster, right? But even when the Padres got Soto, the first time when the Padres had Soto, they had Machado, Tatis, and it was World Series or bust for the Padres. That's how I looked at it. That's how a bunch of people looked at it, because all the money they were dishing out at the time. So when it comes to that, like I said, there's only one way this has to end for this to look okay, and that's with the ring. You know what I mean? And every single year we don't win a ring, is going to be, damn, why did we win a ring? Oh, you're going to hear the cries. You're going to hear from Mets fans more than anybody else. Oh, we spent 805 on some guy. He's making 40-something and a half per year, and we're not winning. You know, so everybody's going to hate
the uncomfortable opinion, right?
Yeah, everybody's going to hate what Cohen's about to do.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So, and what become the full and I said that the moment they signed him, and I wasn't anti or I wasn't for it, but I was more of the realistic mindset where I feel like there's so much more we could do. You know what I mean? I get the optics, I get the feeling of it, yada yada, whatever the case may be. But I said from the day he signed him that Cohen has no choice but to put $1 billion team together. You don't want to do the pros, you don't want to do any of this shit. Go out and spend every single dime you intend on. Forget the kids. Don't worry about your draft picks. Don't worry about international money. You got a 26-year-old. You find those kids that are around that age, between 24 to 28, that are studs. Make your trades, do whatever the case may be, and just boom, spend that.
So wait, so you think that he had to do it, but you feel that there were other ways to do it? Is that what you're saying, right?
I see why I see the argument of why he had to do it. I see that. I would have preferred a different route.
I understand.
You know what I mean? But I see it and I understand it, and he's here and I support it. You know what I mean?
He's a Met now. So Top, I saw that you need to share your opinion on that, because it is I think his opinion can be looked at in many ways. I know spending money is probably the name of the game. I get it. I understand. But speak your mind and your opinion off his opinion, because I think that two truths can be correct. Does that make sense? You know what I'm saying?
He has a valid point. You know, there are teams that can go a different route if they're in that position. I just don't think that because of what Cohen has brought and because of the expectations that were set last year, and then you totally flip that and get to where you get to, that you can go that different route. I feel like they had no other choice but to go the Soto route. I felt like if they ended up going the different route and trying to build without Soto, they either would have stayed in the same position
or regretted not doing it,
where they possibly could have got into the wild card. Remember, we were all saying last year, listen, if they don't make the playoffs, it's a reset year. But if they make the wild card, they make the wild card. I feel like they don't get Soto, they're in that same position. You don't know what a second-year Mark Vientos is going to pan out. We know what Francisco Lindor is going to be, but it's going to be the same notion of it's his team. What is everybody else going to do? You add that monster to help, now you really don't have to worry about that. Now everybody can follow him. Everybody has another big guy to go off of. So now you're putting yourself in a position where, oh, we made the NLCS. Now we're trying to win this whole damn thing. Now we're here. Now the expectation is not wild card. No, we're here to win this whole damn thing. So I feel like if they go that route, you're taking a risk of landing back in the same position that you were in last year after getting that far. Now you had to go and get that big fish. Whether the money is what people like or not, at the end of the day, baseball, I'm young, so I don't know how it was back then, but the baseball's never had a salary cap. And at the end of the day, that's how baseball's always been. It's unfortunate for the smaller markets, but the smaller markets have to deal with that. This is why most of them go through the draft and try to build these young kids to end up, reaching their prime and trying to find success over there. And then the big markets just spend, but that's how it's always been. And then, we're in that big market, and finally we have found somebody to put that money down and actually go get the pieces that we need to win. Yeah, it's unfortunate, like I said, for smaller markets, but that's just the name of the game. And I think, although, yes, I see why he wants to put a cap, at the same time, I feel like it's beneficial for teams to also go out there and spend as much as they can to benefit their team.
Edge, you have it. Go ahead. I know you wanted to hop in. You muted. Let me unmute you. Yeah,
I agree to disagree. I agree that something needs to get changed. but I don't think it's going to be a salary cap. You can't penalize bigger market teams for smaller markets don't want to spend. I'm dealing with an owner right now, the A's owner, who's building shit in here over Vegas that he does not want to pay people like me to build his building for me. So is that my fault or that's his fault for not having the money? Is that my fault not investing in his team to get more funds for a venture like this or something like this? No. I think it should be a floor for these smaller market teams because they take advantage of the system that the Major League Baseball has actually implemented. Yeah, but I don't think it should be a cap. A cap is like, cutting like half the league off from competing when they have the funds to compete. And I'm not even talking about teams that looking to, establish themselves. A lot of teams raised their payroll this year or the prior years. The Royals, the Giants, all these what we consider smaller market teams. I'm not going to penalize them. Well, how come when this was going rampant with other teams in the 90s and the early 2000s, we don't say anything like that. We didn't come, and no fan has been stating this until Cohen got here. And because Cohen basically flexing what his advantage is, which is money. So, I disagree, but I think some of these small market teams should invest more in their investment so they could get a return profit, because the fans ain't going to come if you don't invest in the team. So I'm going to disagree with the salary cap, but agree with the floor. So.
Yeah, I could jump on real quick.
Yeah, so like, Judge, anybody want to jump in? Please go ahead.
Yeah,
let the convo be
I don't mean to offend nobody, but like, I don't give a shit about the small market teams. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I started the live off with get your money up. Like, we have the money. That's the only advantage that we have. We still going through the phase of getting out of that, little brother, not good team, having bad GMs, having even worse managers. That's why a lot of these players didn't want to come here. You couldn't throw money to them, some of them, at least the good ones. Now we're getting the Lindors that want to extend here. Now we're getting the Sotos here. Yeah, can you build a team without like spending 800 or 760 million for one player? Of course. I mean, I'm pretty sure you could build a team without a $341 million shortstop. I'm sure you can. Pretty sure you could build a team without $101 million closer. I'm sure you can. Also build a team without $160 million left fielder. Like, if we want to compete against the Dodgers, the Yankees are going to be there in the American League. You know what I'm saying? The Phillies have the highest payroll in baseball. You know what I'm saying? The Braves don't have the highest payroll, but they did it smart. We could go back and forth the way they did it. It seemed like, a lot of luck and a lot of players buying into the organization and, extending when they extend. And you could say, like, yeah, that's smart. But is it smart for their families? Because a guy like Acuna, if he was a free agent now and he was healthy, he would have been making $500-600 million. Like he would have changed his generation family's lives and also still produce when healthy, right? So I don't buy into that. I think I'm not saying like you guys got to change your mind and everybody has basically their opinion, but we're here now. For us to have this conversation, it's like, small market team. We're not that. I don't think we're ever going to be that.
I think now that I'm gonna get to you right now. I think right now, it's like it really does feel like a turning of the page of perception, right? Like we are on the verge of doing things. We are on the verge of getting to a point where it's like it truly is a different opinion, but it's like now you're stepping into a different like pool of water. And I think I'm gonna ask Rich, and then I'm gonna just open it up so we can keep the convo going. Rich, being that you're a Yankee fan and you understand what it is to be like, oh, you buy championships, or you're always going after this, or the Stein brother. I know it's changed because of the ownership group and whatnot. Being that now two teams in this same city are going to pretty much be in contention for every big name. They're either going to be really interested or just driven up the price for whoever it is. Do you think that this could truly affect how those CBA talks are going to happen? Because see, Roop just spoke from the heart. He's like, yo, fuck the small market teams. Tone says, there may need to be a certain cap because, teams obviously find success by doing it different ways. But you are looking at it from a more experienced point of view because you've been in these discussions for years. Way before, there were times when we were never a part of these discussions. Do you think that now, where you see the Dodgers, Yankees, and Mets, because that's what it really feels like, Dodgers, Yankee, Mets, and an occasional name on the side, are going to drive the sport? So at one point, we just got the Cohen tax, but now when we're starting to see how these pillars of the sport move in a certain direction, do you think that that will really affect how the sport is going to evolve post the next CBA?
Absolutely, it could, but it's almost kind of unfair that 10% of the teams in baseball would drive that. And, you know, I see what the Mets and Yankees and even the Dodgers are doing here, and they're utilizing their resources. And these are resources that every team in baseball has access to as well. You know, I'm not really gonna bat an eye of what the Mets and Yankees are doing. I'm a little bit more concerned with what the Dodgers are doing with the deferrals, and I think that actually has some has a little bit more substance to me to look into by the next CBA. But yeah, it's not good when teams are where these owners are not spending the money. And just looking at the payrolls from last year, if we're even thinking about the idea of a floor, where do you guys think payroll should be? Let's go with I kind of want to hear from everybody here. Like, what do you think a floor should be in baseball if there is one?
Accounting, go ahead. Oh, 150 from Tone.
Yeah, I was gonna say that the way contracts are going now, 150 should be the floor.
I'd say 140-ish. I'm gonna say 140 on the smaller market side. 140, at least 100. I know the A's are trying to raise their payroll over 100 right now because they're pressured from baseball to do it. So
that's what I was gonna say. They were that whole shit with the A's and Sevy, small market team. They have to spend the money this year. They're gonna get penalized. So that's not like, oh my God, they're going for it. And that's bullshit. That's like horse shit. Now they have to spend the money. So they're going to throw money at Sevy. And for you guys that want a Sevy, there you go. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, that's bullshit, man. There should always be a floor, at least 150. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
If you do a salary cap in baseball, you know what's going to happen. Your superstars are going to make still 30, 40, $50 million. And the guys that could make that kind of money won't get nowhere near that. And that's fucked up. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Jump in. Okay.
Real quick. So, because I feel like when I say cap, it's kind of getting misconstrued on what I'm saying, right? Mm-hmm. I believe since the George Steinbrenner days of watching how shit was operated, that there should have been some type of hard ceiling, some type of floor, right? Because I always felt like there was never an in between. It's either the extreme or the extreme, right? That's what seems to be baseball. And for me, this isn't a Cohen thing, but looking at what Shohei got, and I know people want to think about the Soto, even just looking at what Shohei got for being a DH, but not knowing what his arm is at $700 million, I'm looking at it like, damn. And then not to mention they deferred everything. I think a cap, deferments, all that needs all to go on a contract. Because Strasburg kind of started that with a massive deferral, and the Shohei is just the largest version of it that we've seen, and now they're doing it with every player, which I still find to be wild, and I wonder how it's being done. But when I say cap, I'm saying cap at like a 375, maybe a 4. You know what I mean? Nothing that's gonna say is gonna mess with anybody's pockets to come down. But just because I feel like that gives you room to grow, that gives you room to pay guys. But I just feel like we're gonna start seeing these free agents start coming around. Vladdy's next. He's gonna see around 40 a year for being a first baseman, and he's great with his bat, whatever the case may be. But he's another version. He's another Soto. Amazing with his bat. His glove is subpar. He's gonna see around 40 million a year. I wouldn't be surprised. Kyle Tucker, he saw with Soto just got. He's probably gonna see around like 45 a year, and those contracts are gonna keep growing. You see what Kokochi just got at 21. You see what Minaya is about to get based off of the one season he had, and I'm a Minaya supporter. That's why I say like a number like 375 as a ceiling gives everybody a chance to grow into that. It's not like a hard keep you down. It's everybody could grow into that. Because right now, you think about it, I think
that sounds like a hard tax, like an NBA, like that hard.
So like, for example, like the NBA model is you have a hard floor where teams have to sit at, or you're penalized, or you have a hard cap where you just can't give guys money. You know what I mean? And I also feel like that gives a version. Guys like Stearns would excel in that type of situation even more. in my opinion. But I don't think it's just a Met thing. I've always felt this way about it, and I feel like over these past 2 years, seeing the contracts that have been handed out, besides the Shohei and the Sotos, but just the pitchers alone, we saw Lance Lynn get what, 15 million for what? You know what I mean? We were seeing guys getting paid asinine amount of money, and Montas even at 17 and a half blows my mind. Because Sevy, when we got him, was what was it, 14 last year when we got Sevy? Like Montas getting 3.5 more.
13 for a year.
Yeah, so 4.5 more. That's like, oh my, like look where we're heading to. You know what I mean? So that's what I mean when I say cap. You got to give a big cap so people could grow, and you're not really restricting anybody. You know what I mean? But the floor for me has to be at 150. I feel like that's a fair number. The lowest one, if I'm not mistaken, the Guardians last year were around like 120 something, or maybe 150 something, and then the year before the Diamondbacks pushed up to like 160 something. And so
you talk about playoff teams, bro, or no?
Yeah, well, I'm talking about teams that made the playoffs in the past.
Okay,
yeah. So I think 150 is kind of, we've seen that outside of the Rays, because the Rays work, they worship the devil in Tampa, and they do fucking voodoo out there. Outside of that, 150 kind of shows you where teams really need to sit at in order to have a chance to get it, right? And I'm all for a better product at the end of the day, like everybody is. And I this isn't about, but this is I'm assuming this is a conversation about all of baseball, and not just the Mets, because I know we're talking to little Yankees too. So that's what I'm speaking towards. Yes, fuck small market teams. Fuck them. We're rich now. We're here. I get it. That's why I said blow all the money now, because who knows what's gonna happen later. Fucking sign everybody.
So 150 we probably feel good about as a base floor across the board, right? I would say. How many teams in baseball this past year you think were below 150?
9.
Yeah, I was gonna say 10. More. Gotta be more.
Gotta be more.
I think
more.
9.
Who said 15? Half the teams in baseball were below 150.
I figured.
Wow. You gotta have a floor.
Yeah.
So if we have a floor and it's 150, right? Every year it's gonna go up. I'm assuming the floor raises every year, correct?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I'm assuming that we will have to keep that model the same way the tax goes up, the floor goes up, right? So that's interesting, because now every year guys are no matter at that point. My question now is, if we do have a floor and it does raises with the tax numbers, then we can't sit here and me and Pope are the prime guilty guys of when we see $34 million for Montas, we reacted the way we reacted. Guys overpaying technically doesn't really mean that guys are technically getting overpaid. Go ahead. Come on.
And would you think if they did have a floor 150, the cost of the players will actually go up because the other team's going to be involved because they have to spend? Yes or no?
I don't think so. I think teams are still going to find a way to be cheap.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
You can manipulate a payroll. I think, Josh, I'm pretty sure you're going to think exactly what I'm thinking. You could probably pay 2 to 3 players so much money that you pass that level, and then you're going to fucking be frugal with the rest, right?
One more thing. You know what I think that's messing this whole system up? The competitive balance taxes and basically like giving out free money to these teams, and they're getting a little bit too comfortable. Correct. And that's basically what's killing this the front offices for the most part. They need to get rid of it. You don't look, if you don't want to spend it, cool, but there's gonna be penalties, draft pick compensation, something, bro, because you gotta spend to look. You a billionaire. Most of these dudes are guaranteed like 29 out of the 30 teams are billionaire owners. You came into the business either trying to make a profit or trying to do something to line your pockets, right? So in this business, with no salary cap, this is not the NBA, this is not the NFL with cap situation. You got to spend money to get, some type of return. And a lot of these dudes don't do that because they have, the free welfare from Manfred, coming out of other owners' freaking pockets. And I don't think that's fair. So there you go.
But that's... I'm sorry. Go ahead, Joe.
I was gonna say. I'm about to say something that sounds a little messed up. For me, with the whole competitive balance tax thing, we should have a floor, but within range. If you meet that criteria, you do get the competitive balance tax, let's say, is like 160, 170, whatever. If you fall between 160 and 150, whatever. But then if you fall below the floor, you get penalized. I think it needs to happen. And I know it's gonna sound messed up, but to put these owners in position to either spend to build a team and to attract fans, or to kind of sort of get pushed out of the game because you're ruining the sport for your fan base.
Well, how about this? If you're under that floor, they lose their first round draft pick or some
Yeah.
shit like that.
Get
Don't they do
penalized
that
some way,
already,
somehow.
though?
I don't know. Honestly, in terms of like a floor level of spending, I don't think so.
No.
I don't think that they lose anything. They're not they're compensated if anything.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say this to piggyback off of what Josh was saying, that if you remember when the Dodgers, the owner was forced to sell because he was in financial trouble, he wasn't spending money, whatever the case may be. And the Dodgers said, we can't have that in Los Angeles. We need owners who are willing to spend in Los Angeles, right? If you think about those Oakland A's teams with Mulder, Zito, Chavez, Giambi, Pena, whatever you want to name it, if there was a salary cap floor, I could, actually a cap floor, I can guarantee you some of those names would have been kept just to maintain the salary cap. So the issue with the salary cap floor, though, is that you will get stupid contracts just to meet it because teams, you'll always find a way, right? That's you see it in every sport. Guys get paid that don't deserve it, but it's just the team say, well, I don't want to spend on anybody else. I'm going to give this guy 50 mil for 1 year and call it a day. You'll see that.
Yeah.
But the cap floor will go much better into what the MLB can become and what it can be. Because what we just saw was great this past postseason. You know what I mean? And those type of vibes really need to continue.
I think this is such a deep layered conversation. I mean, we could keep going. We actually already hit an hour. I wanted to get to the Soto dynamic to the Mets lineup before we could round out. And I want to start with Rich for being that he's from the outside view, but he does have a knowledge of the Mets. Where would you bat Juan Soto? Who would you bat in front of him? And who would you bat behind him?
So funny enough, a few weeks ago on our show, we did a segment called the Off-Season Gender. All four of us took on the role of general manager and we assessed our team. Joe Puglisi, shout out to Joe. He took on the Juan Soto Mets offseason. And he also included Pete Alonso in his lineup. And I think looking like it's probably going to look like, that in reality, we'd hope, right? It's funny. I asked him, I was like, hey, could you put a lineup together of what it would look like? My guess, it would look something like this, where you have Soto hitting second and Alonso hitting third with Lindor leading off. And he was like, yep, that's definitely going to be the top three right there with Vientos hitting fourth. I think that's where he's got to be. I like Soto in the two. More at bats. It's where he was comfortable all season, batting in front of Aaron Judge. And with Pete Alonso, if that's going to be the case for protection, that's fantastic. Now, let's just say if there's a scenario that is not Pete, I definitely think this becomes a more intriguing conversation. And I don't know if anybody's ever really thought of this, and I know he did so well in the leadoff. I think I would bat Lindor after Juan Soto in that case. And I'm not sure if it's best to do Soto 2, Lindor 3, or Soto 1, Lindor 2. But I think Lindor offering protection for Soto.
That's if we don't get Pete, you're saying. That's if Pete's not back.
That's if you don't get Pete. That's correct. That's if you don't get Pete. I think that opens up another extreme. I absolutely, from the other side looking in, I absolutely in love with your shortstop. Love Francisco Lindor. When he hit the trade market back, when Cleveland made that deal, I was hoping the Yankees were to make that move. Unfortunately, they decided to sign DJ LeMahieu's 31, 32-year-old ass for 6 years and not solve the shortstop position and still continue to be right-handed for another 3 years until another old first baseman came in. I was hoping that was going to be Lindor. I was hoping the Yankees were going to put their pedal to the metal and try to acquire Lindor to be their shortstop. That did not happen. I think Lindor offers so much that most shortstops in MLB cannot. And to protect Juan Soto, with Soto being an on-base machine, I think that makes a lot more sense if you don't have Pete Alonso.
I think you sound like an analytic dude right there, because that's actually something I never even thought of, to be honest with you. Flip, you've been quiet. Oye, vamos a hablar de Soto. Who you want in front of him? Who you want behind him? With or without Pete? Give me both scenarios.
So with or without Pete, I want my best hitter in the number 2 hole. The Mets were the best team in baseball. I understand your point, Rich, but the Mets were the best team in baseball when Lindor went over to the leadoff spot. And we heard Soto in the presser today labeling Lindor as one of the best leadoff hitters in the game. So I want that 1-2 punch at top of the order. With or without Pete, I'm sliding Juan Soto in the number 2 hole.
Who's behind him?
Vientos. I'm going Lindor, Soto, Vientos.
Now, if you bring Pete back, who's behind Soto?
Vientos.
Ooh. Interesting. Edge, go ahead.
It's Vientos until it's not Vientos. We're going to give him a shot. We're going to give him a shot. But it's Vientos until it's not Vientos.
Edge, you're muted. I see you. You're dying to talk.
I know. Listen, the top 2 is going to be always the top 2. Okay. Where it gets tricky is the 3, 4, and 5. All right.
Correct.
For me, if Pete is back, he's batting third. I want Vientos at cleanup. I agree with Rich. All right. You've seen numerous times with this kid and, being, clutch, maybe Pete don't have that right now because he's on the downside if you do give him a contract. I want him not to feel as much pressure. And I think he trusts this kid's, ability enough to, if he doesn't get it done, he will get it done. All right. And I will trust, Vientos, toughness and his, get back ability to drive and runs in the 4th spot. All right. If Pete doesn't come here and he goes somewhere else, so once again, Lindor, Soto, I'll put Vientos behind him at that point, and then Nimmo batting behind Vientos, and then work it from there. So, but I like Pete at third. I like my top 3 hitters, stacked. So,
Pope, what's your thoughts before Soto, after Soto, with Pete, and a scenario without Pete?
So with and without, I'll do 1 and 2, Lindor and Soto. I want my best 2 hitters in the top of the lineup. I am gonna leave with or without Pete. I'm gonna leave Vientos at third. I think he's just a really good hitter. I'm expecting him to do similar to what he did last year. I mean, we're talking about a guy that was almost at 280, almost 900 OPS, for most of the year, 120, 130 games. I'm not moving him from that spot. Remember, he thrived when he was in the second hole. Mm-hmm. I do like lefty or switch lefty righty, and believe it or not, I will actually do Nimmo as cleanup. I know Pete.
I was waiting for this conversation.
Yeah, so
thank you for this uncomfortable beginning of a conversation. Please, the floor is yours.
And the reason I say that is because he makes contact. He makes contact. First of all, I like the switch, lefty righty lefty. I see Pete to be the 5th hole hitter of the future anyway. If we don't get Pete, then you're gonna have to move everybody back depending on who you get. But lefty righty from there doesn't matter. So it's easy move to switch both of them to put Pete back in a cleanup spot. The only thing about that is that then you have the righty. You know what I'm saying? So that's the only thing with that. I like the fact that Nimmo makes contact. He's not becoming your prototypical leadoff hitter anymore. If he's healthy, he'll probably he's a decent runner. He'll steal you 10 bags. He'll be 10 out of 10, but that's it. And that's kind of interesting to have that in the 4th hole. So he could drive in runs. He's done it the last 2 years. His average has gone down, which is not crazy, but I think he's going to have a better year as he's healthier. He's a better hitter than Pete Alonso. Period.
I am so happy you said that. As I keep going, I'm going to go around the horn. Mm-hmm. He gets on base better than Pete Alonso, right? I know Pete is the slugger.
Yeah.
He is a better contact hitter than Pete Alonso. And he actually, if you think about it, I think the biggest winner of all this, everyone will think Vientos, Lindor. I think the biggest winner here is Brandon Nimmo. Brandon Nimmo right now doesn't have to lead off. Brandon Nimmo doesn't have to be the power surge, the extra power surge. Brandon Nimmo doesn't have to be the guy that's constantly getting walks. We got Soto for that. Brandon Nimmo, to me, everything that we used to put on his plate just got taken off, and he can be free. Now, I can hear Met fans, Brandon Nimmo's not a cleanup hitter, but I like where Pope is going with this, because even if we do bring back Pete or we get another guy, I think it is of that fifth hole-ish ilk. I like where you're going with it. There's many other opinions. I'm going to get to the accountant, then I'm going to get to Top, and then we're going to round out with Tone. Josh, Dame before Soto, after Soto, with Pete, without Pete, your vision.
But we're gonna do Soto because Soto's already here. I'm gonna do with Pete because I do believe he's coming back. I'm gonna do that first. The fact is that Lindor is better in the leadoff spot. This team is better with Lindor in the leadoff spot. So I would be putting Lindor in the leadoff spot. Second, it would be Juan Soto. He looked very comfortable hitting in the second spot. And you want guys that make good contact and get on base at the top of the lineup. Vientos would be batting behind him, in my opinion. I don't see him batting cleanup. Not yet, at least. I'm hoping to have Pete back, and Pete I'm putting back in a cleanup spot. I know you guys want Nimmo, but the fact is that even though it's very, very limited sample size in about 20 games, the numbers are not good in a cleanup spot.
Correct.
And I trust somebody that's been in a leadoff spot, has produced at a leadoff spot. You know what I'm saying? And then I would be putting Nimmo behind him to turn over the rest of the lineup.
Interesting. So if Pete isn't there, does Nimmo end up being that cleanup guy, or is it player to be added, or is it someone else on the roster?
If we get nobody, which is kind of hard to picture right now,
right.
Then you're kind of looking at a situation where that's where I start to try to I would think about putting Vientos in a cleanup spot over Nimmo, and I'll probably put Nimmo in third ahead of him. And I know this, management the last couple of years, including new management, don't like to have two lefties back to back or two righties. They like doing the alternate right left. I know they probably won't want to do that, but realistically, I don't feel comfortable with Nimmo back. I know he makes contact, but I just don't feel comfortable having him in the cleanup spot. I'm just the old school type of baseball guy. I like popping a leader and
no, this is why we're doing this. There's so many different opinions. Actually, every single one of you have had a different opinion if you paid attention to it. Top, give me your scenarios. I want a guy in front of Soto, a guy behind Soto, with or without Pete. Two different scenarios. Talk to me. You got to talk to me with your mic on, brother.
Oh, good.
You're good.
My bad. So this might be a little bit different because nobody's really said it, but I think with P. Alonso, I'm keeping Vientos at number 2. The reason why, and I get it, why some may not do it because of the pressure situation. I think he wants that.
So Soto is protecting Vientos.
Soto's at number 3.
Soto at number 3.
Continue. The reason why I say that is because Mark Vientos has shown this organization, and I think he wants that number 2 spot. He's shown, listen, they put me in this number 2 spot. I haven't fell off since. And I've shown you guys what I could do in the playoffs as a number 2 hitter. My numbers jumped up as soon as they put me as a number 2 hitter in the season. So I think he's earned that. Yes, you're fighting against your superstar, but to me, Juan Soto can give you what he can give you as a number 2 hitter or as a number 3 hitter. That's just how good he is. Mark Vientos has already shown that he can go jump off in that number 2. I think he's earned that. That's with Pete back. Now, if Pete is not back, then I think you put Juan Soto at number 2, and you can probably put Mark Vientos as number 3 or number 4 if that's a situation where Pete doesn't come back. But I feel like if Pete is here, you can have Mark Vientos as number 2, Juan Soto as number 3, and then Pete as your number 4, and Nimmo as your number 5. Or if you want to switch it that way, because when they did drop Pete to number 5, he was actually on a little bit of a streak before he went back in cold again, and we were all clamoring for that. So you can mess with that a little bit based on how they do. So those are my options.
You've been talking to Aiden Mendoza. That's fair. Tone, give me your 2 scenarios. One with Pete, one without Pete. A person in front of Soto, a person behind Soto.
So one thing I will say is one of the biggest conversations that have been had is who's going to protect Juan Soto.
Mm-hmm.
There's only one guy in my mind that's going to protect that man, and that's Mark Vientos. Only guy I want to see protecting him. At the end of the day, I know it was a 1-year run that he had. You can say what you want to say, even from when he was going shuttled back and forth on the Buck Showalter. The little bit of consistent time he got, he showed you what he could do. Spring training with the knowing he was probably going to get set down, he showed you what he could do. Going down to AAA, he showed you what he could do. Came back up, he showed you what he could do. Against the Dodgers, they walk Lindor to get to Vientos. He showed you what he could do. Like, how many more times I got to say? The kid's a baller. The kid's swing is something else, and I get it. Sophomore slumps exist. But until I see that sophomore slump, that's who I'm riding with behind Soto at the end of the day. So, because the way I feel it, the scenarios in my head play out the way how it was against the Dodgers. They're going to intentionally walk somebody to get to somebody. So why not have the kid that they think they're going to disrespect time and time and time again until he makes it, continue to make them pay for it, and now you're screwed in your top 3, right? Because at the end of the day, they're going to treat Vientos like he's food early in the season. They're gonna Lindor probably, he'll get on, they'll pitch around Soto, and then boom, now you got to deal with Vientos. So to me, regardless of whoever's behind him, that's my top 3 setup. Now, if Pete is here, Pete is I obviously Pete would be kind of your de facto 4. I'd rather see you sign, if you're gonna bring back Pete, I'd rather see you sign another DH with a power bat and put him at 4, put Pete at 5. I think that if Pete's not here, the one and let's play the game where Pete's not here and this is the team that it is today. Starling Marte would be my DH at number 4. That's how I would see it. I feel like he's proved that he could make the bats ball contact in plenty of situations. He's not a guy that looks to just walk all the time. And he's a threat with his bat. When he's healthy. So this is all contingent on everybody being healthy, and then it feels like you reset the lineup after that with Brandon Nimmo kind of being your new leadoff hitter. With that said, so yeah, Vientos is my protection no matter who they sign. In this entire season, I feel like Lindor to me is the best leadoff hitter in baseball. I will debate that till I'm blue in the face. Juan Soto behind Lindor is match made in heaven, essentially, as far as the lineup goes. So.
Interesting. I like that everybody here had a different take. It's literally about 7 different opinions, all totally different. It remains to see how the lineup is going to shape out. So we stay tuned for that. There's actually a much more to come. So before we get out of here, I'm just going to ask you guys 1-word answer. And I'm going to go around the room. I'm going to start with Tone. I need you to name the next player to sign for the New York Mets. And we're going to go just the name only, and we're going to go to the next person, and we can hop on out of here. Who is the next player that will sign for the New York Mets, Tom?
Damn.
Got you, huh? Got you. Come on.
I'm going to say something outlandish. Santander.
Anthony Santander, next player the Mets signed. The accountant, who is the next player the Mets signed?
Pete Alonso.
Pete Alonso. Top bunk, who is the next player the Mets signed?
Pete Alonso.
Edge, who is the next player the Mets signed? Mute. Let me unmute him. He's giving me a Bible right now. Edge, who's the next?
Listen, I'm in both.
You're good. Who's the next player the Mets will sign?
Pete Alonso, bro. 6 years, 170 with a 7-year option, bro.
Oh, all right. Master Flip, the next player the Mets will sign.
Manaya.
Woo! Pope, who's the next player the Mets will sign?
Walker Buehler.
What? Rich Rivera, we wrapping up, my man. Who's the next player the Mets are going to sign, Rich Rivera?
Tommy Canely.
I actually like Canely, actually, bro.
All right, so this one
3 years for 27, by the way. Shout out to Mikey Deportes. 3 years for 27 mil. Shout out to.
Oh, you stupid. You stupid. All right, Rich, just for you, give me the next player the Yankees going to sign so we can get out of here.
Oh, next player they're going to
sign.
Sign.
No trade. Sign.
Sign or trade?
No trade. Just a sign. Yeah.
Tim Hill.
Tim.
Tim Hill. They need a lefty on the cheap.
Oh, okay. All right. I didn't see that coming. I thought you guys already signed him. That's why you threw me a
No.
curveball.
They're gonna give it, and also I'll give you a number too. They're gonna give him the Luke Weaver deal, $2 million, 2.5 club option next year.
All right. Well, you don't think that because you gave Loizaga that contract, it won't affect the Tim Hill acquisition?
Did the number release for Loizaga yet?
No, it's been undisclosed.
Yeah, Hill's going to be on the cheap. He did a great job for the Yankees coming over from a DFA, so I think that's going to be your next.
All right, well, look, guys, thank you all for joining. We got 1,300 here on X. I'm pretty sure we got a bunch on YouTube. Give us a like, a retweet, a subscribe. Please hit that little bell on notifications, and don't just hit our bell. I want you guys to head over to the ESB podcast. Hit the notification bells for them. Give them a like, a retweet. If you go to the notification, if you go to the description here in the video on YouTube, you will find the link for these gentlemen. And every third Monday, and don't forget, we got something special. I believe the 30th of December.
Yes.
Stay tuned for that.
That third Monday.
Yeah,
we'll
see,
December
I
30th.
didn't forget. I'm putting you over. We will be on the ESB show, and I believe the Pope will be joining me if I'm not mistaken.
We got a big class. We have 9 folks showing. I'm going to be the presenter of a classic holiday game of White Elephant, playing around with the remaining free agents. We have 4 Mets folks, 4 Yankees folks, and I'll be playing the role of the late Alex Trebek in the middle.
That should be fun. That should be fun, man. That should be fun.
Looking forward to it.
Yeah, man, appreciate it, guys. Thank you for your time. It is 10:30 on a Thursday night, right before Friday, the day the Mets have historically signed a baseball player for north of $700 million. I believe the total number is around 800, something like with the all add-ons and all that shit. But they did a crazy thing today. Shout out to Steve Cohen and Miss Alex Cohen as well, man. They deserve just pouring amount of praise for what they're doing for this organization. Shout out Rich Rivera again from the other side of town. Join in on the conversation. I appreciate you. Can't wait to join the ESB podcast. If you are free, ladies and gentlemen, to jump on some Call of Duty, that will be happening in about 10 minutes, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you to the chat. Thank you to you, gentlemen. And that's another one in the books. Let's go, Mets. Shout out Juan Soto. Please lose some weight, and we are
We got the